So I'm really new to Thoth, Toth, Tot. Those are all the different pronunciations that I found for this word, Egyptian god. And anyway, so I didn't know about this deck for the longest time. And probably a couple of years ago, I heard about it in passing, which is interesting because the backs to these cards are iconic. See, the backs I knew. So I probably just didn't internalize this deck because I've, the first tarot deck I ever bought was Rider-Waite. It was a yellow box, and that's what the metaphysical shop in my city sold. I'm pretty sure there was just when I bought that deck, I think all they had on their shelf was the yellow box Rider-Waite, and maybe there was a Marseille deck. Couldn't tell you because every reader I went to, every psychic I went to see, had a Rider-Waite tarot. So I went down to Amazon because I wanted to get myself a copy of this deck. And Amazon Canada, Skifo, no good. I was very, very underwhelmed and unimpressed because all the Thoth decks were on Amazon Canada or by third-party sellers. And this one right here, I wanted the largest one because I had seen it. Because I had seen it in someone else's video, and because why not, right? I could have gotten a standard size one for pretty much the same price on Amazon Canada, also third-party seller. Like I was looking at this, and I watched Amazon for weeks before ordering this one because I couldn't understand why it wasn't in stock by Amazon. Like, is it going out of print? Like, what the hell? Anyway, long story short, I found it on the book depository. Now, if you're wanting to get this deck, this is the large one in the green box. I don't know if with the lighting here, yeah, you can tell. But this is the large one in the green box. You could probably tell because look at my hand, right? I have small hands and there. I got mine off the book depository and at a really good price. Now, if you're in the market for one of these and you're going to go onto book depository, the picture is the green box. The ISBN number is the green box. The description says standard. Always go by the ISBN number. All right. So this is the box. I'm very excited. I didn't even know there was a controversy. The only time I've ever used the phrase must be Thoth inspired is when I got the Guild Tarot and saw keywords on the tarot cards that kind of reminded me of, because obviously I hadn't internalized it, but maybe when I was reading at the metaphysical shop in my hometown, maybe the reader beside me read these. I don't know. The white box looks familiar to me. This one doesn't. So that could very well be it. Or it could just be that it was on the shelf beside the Rider-Waite and I bought the Rider-Waite because that's what I knew. Anyway, I know, such a long, convoluted story. So this is by US Games. And I'm really excited because when I watched a flip through of this deck a while ago, and then Natalia hit the scene, or Boris, and she always was holding her Thoth deck. Not always, but in a lot of her videos, she holds her Thoth deck. This is what the US Games one that's currently available. This one states that it's printed in Belgium. Yep. So this one's printed in Belgium. Oh my god, I don't even know if you could see that. It comes with a little white book with a little title card. My only criticism, and this one is, it's really petty, people, but you know, if you've been watching me for 5 minutes, you know about me and the backs of the cards, right? Why does it need that ugly stark white border? Really? Like, look. Why do the backs of the cards need this ugly stark white border? I don't know. Look, why? Why? I've seen, because you know I did my research. I've seen the original printing of this one, or an older printing of this one, where it doesn't have the little stark white borders on the back. I think it's freaking ugly. I think it makes it look like a card game. I don't know. This is me, but I hate little stark white borders on everything. So again, if you've been watching me for 5 minutes and you've seen any tarot decks that I use, that you know that are in my arsenal, the little white borders have been removed. But there's no little white border on the front of the card. So I don't know. It's like, I like these borders. So the borders are a shade of gray that tends towards green. And again, did my research. I saw that the older one has more of a green, is greener than this. But this is like, you know, somewhere between gray and green, and I think it's quite nice. I don't mind the borders on the front of the cards. Now, I have seen people modify this deck. And look, I'm not even doing the flip through yet. I'm talking right away about, like, you know, cosmetic stuff. I've seen people modify this deck, but there's something about this deck that although it's new to me, it's iconic. And even I, a serial modifier, can't bring myself to cut these borders off. I can't. Because I don't know how to explain it. It's iconic. It's like it's like my my centennial, commemorative centennial tarot, Rider-Waite, Pixie's commemorative centennial, Pamela Coleman Smith. I'm never going to take scissors to that deck. I love it just the way it is. And this one, the only thing I hate is the stark white borders, because nothing else on this deck is stark white. So, anyway, I watched several walkthroughs of this deck, and the artwork. I also typically don't like keywords, although I'm kind of fond of my Gil Tarot. So, which I see that, you know, it follows a lot of the same philosophy of this deck. It's U.S. games, printed in Belgium. It has a really nice cardstock, just like the current U.S. games cardstock. Exactly like my commemorative centennial. I think it has. It's not too glossy. It's got a bit of that waxy feel to it. It's a nice, flexible cardstock. The only thing is, it does this. Now, if you've ever received a deck that does this, it's because it was in the box with the little white book on this side for who knows how long, and that's why your cards are bent, in case you were wondering. Shuffling them, leaving them out, putting something heavy on them to usually corrects that over time. All right. So what did I say so far? I said that nice cardstock. I hate the stark white borders on the backs. And that I'm not likely to modify it because I love the fronts. I fell in love with the artwork. The artist is in case you're like me and you've been under a rock. Lady Frida Harris. And this is Aleister Crowley's deck. Tarot. I'll just do a flip through. The artwork is extremely evocative. Is very clear. The artwork is, the symbolism is very clear. And just like Rider-Waite, there's quite a, there's quite a lot of literature out there in terms of guidebooks, and of course there's the original guidebook by Aleister Crowley, and then there's books by other authors. But I finally received it because Book Depository takes a lifetime to ship to Canada suddenly. It used to be like 2 solid weeks. Now sometimes it's 4, 5. I waited 6 weeks. So I was pretty thrilled when it showed up. I love this artwork. I don't know why I never looked into it earlier. Now, I don't know what took me so long and why I had to see it, featured in the, honestly, it was because Natalia had hers in her hands all the time. I kept saying, oh, this is so compelling. And then when she would share a card, it was like, I'd look at the artwork and go, oh my goodness, that artwork is so compelling. I'm glad that I was able to get the large size, because that was the main reason I wanted the large size, was because the artwork is quite intricate. There's a lot going on this, there's a lot going on in each card, that I feel the larger cards allow you to enter the image more. I don't even know how to describe that, but you know what I mean? I have some tarot decks that I absolutely love, but I feel like because they're so small and there's so much going on in the artwork, it's like I can't get into the image. It's almost like the artwork's not accessible because I can hardly see it, or I can't see it as clearly because the cards are so small. I don't generally pip decks, like I would describe this as a pip deck, right? Because it's not like Rider-Waite that has like a scene depicted. This is just 10 wands and a keyword, oppression. Yet works for me. Obviously, that's probably why it's such a popular deck. I want to say that someone has compared the Gil Tarot to this deck, that there is a video out there, because I kind of remember seeing it, and I wonder, I can't remember who it was, but they did a fabulous job. So maybe do a search on YouTube if you're interested, comparing Thoth deck to the Gil Tarot. The Gil Tarot has a completely different energy, though. I actually find this the art, like the art in the Thoth deck, more inviting than the art in the Gil Tarot. The Gil Tarot can rub me the wrong way sometimes. Look at this. Now there's some differences. Now, of course, my deck is still in order. I still haven't shuffled it. There's the main difference from, if you're like me and you come from Rider-Waite, is that the position of the king in the courts of a Rider-Waite deck is the king. Here, it's the knight in this deck. Then the queen is the queen. The knight is the prince. And the page is the princess. I don't know, I find it's strange, but I find I've been reading Rider-Waite now for 35 years. Trying to do the math in my head. 33 years. And I'm surprised at how clear these read just by looking at them. Dare I say, they read, I don't know, I'm almost thinking, like, I can't compare because I can't go back and unlearn and not know what I already know, right? But I wonder if these would have been easier to learn than the Rider-Waite was. That's what has me puzzled. Something tells me I would have had an easier time learning to read Thoth. You know what I'm saying. Something, I don't know, I have this feeling that if I were to go back in time, that these would have been easier to learn. And I wonder if it isn't because the keywords on these cards, oh God, people, sorry, are more in line with the meanings I learned reading playing cards, whether it's Neapolitan cards or playing cards. So I'm thinking these would have been easier, as these would have been this would have been an easier gateway to tarot from where I was with cartomancy. But the artwork is just unbelievable. Like I said, I've been under a rock. I feel like I've missed out. So I did think about just trimming that stupid little narrow white border on the back of the cards, but I studied the fronts and the backs of these cards really closely since I got it, and I don't think I'd get a good I think that if I were to trim the white borders off, that it would cut into the lines here around the card, and I think it would mess them up. If I followed the line here and remove this thin border, outer border here, then I suspect what would happen is that I'd be left with a thin white border, like just enough to see it. on the back. So I think I'm going to leave them well enough alone. These the art and the keywords really calls one to look at these cards a different way than what you know. You know what I mean? Like for me, I don't know. It freshens things up a little bit. I find that, and then there's this extra card, which I still don't know what it is, because like I said, I just got this. I just got my deck this week, and I haven't had a chance to really delve yet. Look, like I said, it's still in order, right? So that I could show you. Oh, and I forgot to mention, when I received my deck, I guess this must be a Thoth thing. The Fool is after the world. So yeah, my first and my own. It's going to be obviously my only Thoth deck. I don't foresee myself needing more than one of these. What a weird thing to say, right? Anyway, I'm gonna let you go. This was my walkthrough of my Thoth Tarot by US Games in the green box, which is the large size, printed in Belgium and purchased on the book depository if you're interested. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I wish you all a beautiful day. Bye-bye.